Hello, it's me again. It's been a while. In this video, I'd like to share you an interesting feature I've evolved recently. Actually, it's a little while ago. I was in the online shopping application, and there was a feature called Roundup, or it's part of the payment feature. It's a very small little piece in the payment process. So essentially, there is a checkbox that asking the user if you want to donate a little bit tip to a charity before you check out. But yeah, I've distilled some important part out of the project, and I guess the way we do the testing, doing the refactoring, doing the clean code, even organize the files in a project is super typical, I would say. And I hope you can apply these kind of techniques in your projects as well. Yeah, that's pretty much about the project we are going to build today, and let's get started. Okay, so for any kind of series code like this one, I would use WebStorm as my main workspace because it's more efficient to do all these testing or refactoring. It's much safer and efficient. So if you're not familiar with that, maybe spend a little bit time to get familiar with the key map and all the actions, like how do you search a particular file or manipulate files, or the refactorings. But if you are not familiar with the refactor, that's totally fine. We are going to do that in this video. Along the way we implement the feature. So the project structure is exactly the thing you run the Create React app. After that, you will get this similar structure. So basically, it's nothing fancy. So currently, the page is nothing but all the details, which is purely a decoration. Like it does nothing. It's purely a static HTML. So the feature we are going to implement is a section beneath this, which is payment. But yeah, we don't have that yet, and we were using the TDD approach to implement it in this video. So the first thing we would like to do is create a folder for our roundup. So you have already seen the roundup in the beginning of the video. It's basically a section, right? It's just a payment and a checkbox and a button. That's it. Of course, there's some logic in it, but yeah, we will get in there from step to step. So firstly, let's write a test for that section. We can call it payment test, because that's exactly what the section does. And yeah, we will start from there. It's because it's TypeScript. Sorry, it's a React with TypeScript. We will call it TSX. So there's a few small things to notice here when you write a test. Your very first test for your code that does not exist yet. So firstly, you don't write the component. Why is that? It will give you an opportunity to think what the name of the component would be, and how would you like to use that component. So for example, in here, we won't call that section a payment section. You may come up with a good idea before you write a test. You don't do DDD, that's fine. You can put a payment component, but sometimes, or most of the times, you will be stuck in a props list, like what kind of parameter you want to pass into that component and what you are expecting from the component. But when you start from the test, On the other hand, I find that it's more natural to think from outside, from the consumer's perspective. How would I, as a consumer, to use this component, could consume this component? That's I found it's very benefit when you start from the test. So let's start with describe. So we are describing the payment section, right? So the very first thing I like to do is we're making sure it has the title. It doesn't matter if the section has a correct title or not. It's the purpose of writing this payment section title, or payment as title, and we want to render a payment component, right? And the render is from that's one of the benefits you can see here. It's auto import. I reckon some other tools can do that as well, but it's not as natural as in WebStorm. And we are expecting in the screen, we want to say what do you call that? Get by text. What we want to say is the payment to be in a document. Of course, the screen is from the React testing library as well. That's pretty much it, the test. And now you can see if we run the test, it's Command-Shift-R. It will comply that the payment is not defined. Of course it's not defined. We are not write that yet. So the simplest fix for that failing is you define something in the test, which is totally fine for now. We just say, okay, can you please define something for me, which is just doing nothing. And if we run test again, it's now feel like unable to find element with the text payment, which is a proper failure because it does not returning the payment. So we would like to say, okay, please return payment to make the test pass. And now the test is passing, right? It's render payment as title or render payment title like that. And if you run that, it will pass. This looks pretty silly, right? It's just like why don't you just define write a file that has this inside it. The reason again is this will help you to think how would you consume this component from the consumer's perspective. And also it's very easy to move this as a file in WebStorm, because you just like a moving variable to file that itself is a refactoring. So it's pretty easy to do that. You just do F6 and then okay, what do you want to move to the new place? You say okay, move this member to a separate file called payment.tsx, and let's do that. So it will extract that out. So that's pretty simple to do that in WebStorm. And the next thing I would say as a consumer of that is I want to see that option as a user, right? So it shows me the option of donate. And in this test, it will be a little bit different, right? So we will want to say yeah, of course this will pass, but we would like to check something more. Like we want to see if the input is sorry, it will say I would like to donate so you will say I would like to donate how much. I guess that's the most important information for a user, for end user. Like I would like to donate some amount of money, but then I'm thinking, okay, what's the number should be showing here? It should be some business logic here, right? So then it's come to, okay, parameter need to know what's current amount, right? So we can say, okay, amount to be, if it's like one, if it's 19.9, and then the amount here will be 0.1 to charity, right? I mean, you don't have to implement it right away, but just to read the test now, it's kind of drive you to think what parameter will need to pass to the payment to make it work. So I think this will make sense. Like, okay, it's 99.9, and I would like to donate the 0.1 to the charity. That's one of the step. And when we run the test again, it will fail because, yeah, obviously it's not there. So the quickest fix is we can jump into here, and we can say paragraph, do that, and that will make the test pass. Oh, it's not, okay, because it's not compiling, right? Or I would like to, actually it should, I would like to what's issue here? I would like to, okay, because the dot, is that the thing? Yes, so now you can see there's like a syntax error here because we are not using the amount, and let's fix that. So now amount will be a number we will pass in. Yeah, that will fix that tiny small issue. And here again, it will, like, if it's required, then we have to make a small amount here. It doesn't matter what you put here because it's just a placeholder. So now, yeah, we have that label. And the next thing will be, okay, I like to actually see the when you click it, it will change the amount in the button, right? You remember that actual payment button. So we can actually add one more expectation here, saying, okay, I should be able to see the button. The button text is like the amount you passed in. So we would like to check screen. Oh, actually, we can have a separate test, like show me the total amount. If you pass in 99.9, and then I should be able to see that amount of money to be on the screen. And if we run that, it will fail because it's obviously it's not there. But yeah, to fix that, we will need to put the button here, and yeah, the content will be dollar sorry, it will be dollar amount, right? And if we run the test again, yeah, this time it will pass. So for now, we haven't implemented the real roundup logic yet, but we managed to have this kind of structure already, which is, if we put that in the application like so, it doesn't make too much sense, but still it's something that we can see on the screen if you want to test that. Normally I'm not doing this until the very end, but yeah, just show you how it looks like on the screen. We can do that. And if you see that it's just like the payment section, I would like to donate something, and then a button. Of course it's not linked, but yeah, it's already something on the screen if you want to see it. But anyway, let's go back to the test. Yeah, we have this kind of test, and we have a simple implementation, and we can do some cleanup now. Let's say we want the payment to be in some kind of heading to make it more readable. But yeah, we can also adding more tests to make more tests to make it more it's more real. So the next thing will be, if I, as a user, I click the input box, or as a user, if I check the checkbox, the amount of money will be changed. Actually, there are two things, because based on the design, if you check that little tick, the text will change as well. It will say thanks for the donation, and the button amount will change as well. So we can yeah, write one more test, and it will say run the shows thanks when an user clicked selected the donation. And now, so initially I would see this, and if I select this thing, and if it's there, I will click that. So firstly I will make it so by the way, you can use command option V to extract a variable, and I want to use that only here. You can replace that for both occurrences, but I will just use it here. So let's say this is a select or checkbox, just a select. And then first I will expect it's on the screen. It should pass in now. And then I'd like to fire a event on that select. And then I would expect screen dot get by text will be something like thanks for your donation, to be in the document. Yeah, and if I run the test again, it will fail because it could not find this little message there, which is fine. We will fix that right away. Yeah, let's do that. So if we jump back to the test, to the implementation, this time we will need to introduce some variables or state inside, right? So let's wrap this and return this, and then we will need to say, okay, checked or set checked to be use state, which is a boolean, and by default it's false. And there will be something like, okay, just to put it inside the label, and input checkbox, and we will have this label inside it. And when you the method will change based on your click, handle click, right? So let's create a function called handle click, which is set checked to be checked, checked, and the checked is checked in your input, and we will making sure if the checked is checked, we will see thanks for your donation. Otherwise we will show the other message. And if we want to run the test again, this time it will pass, right? But it obviously has some warnings, but that's fine for now. We just showing this message is changing when you select the input, so we can actually see that behavior on screen. So if you check that, it will change, which is good. Not that how small steps we are doing here, like the checkbox itself should be linked to the roundup, but we are applying very small steps here, which is I think it's much better than doing that all things at once. For now, all the tests are passing, but we do found the there are definitely a few tiny things happening here we need to fix. For first one is point 1. Obviously it's hard coded, we need to get it down. Also the button is not actually working as expected because we are not running up actually. So to fix the issues, let's add in 2 more tests. So the first one will be it shows correct amount when user selected to donate. So we need to make sure if user decided to donate, and we will show and we will definitely fail the event. Actually we don't have to expect this anymore because we are not never mind, we will need to show it's $20 for the button. It doesn't matter, it's 20.0. Let's just focus on 20 for now. And if we run the test again, it will fail because even you select the checkbox, it's checked, you still get 19.9. And that's the thing we're going to need to fix now. Let's, if you want to jump back to your implementation, that's shortcut as well. It's Command Shift T, or back to your place. Now we need a calculated amount, or like actual amount once it's rounded up. So let's call it total. Maybe let's say we need one more state to hold that number, and we will use state which is a number. The default value will be the amount, right? And now instead of doing the button amount, we will show the total. So for now it's still exactly the same as before, which is 19.9. But when we check the donation, we need to change the amount, like set the total to something else. And we will use the effect to change the total number when something changed, like checked is changed or the amount is changed. If any of them changed, we will need to, if it's checked, we will set total to some amount, and otherwise we will fall back it to the initial value, which is the amount. So here we can use the mass.floor, which will get rid of the float number. So it will be the amount plus 1, I think. And yes, let's have a look at what test tells us. Run the test. And yeah, it's now passing. Yeah, we can rerun the whole test, and you can see all of them are passing. Even the 20 is passing now, despite the this warning here. But yeah, we don't have to worry about that yet. So our 20 is here. And if you look at the test, the implementation, it looks pretty straightforward, I would say. Yeah, the only thing left is the 0.1 stuff. So if we want to modify that, the simplest way to do that is by modify probably this one, because it will be a similar situation here. Let's say it's just a case 2, because it's nothing fancy here. So if we give the 0.8, we want to say it's 0.2 in this case, right? And if we run the test again, because we hard-coded it, it will still get the 1 in this case. So obviously we need something to hold this value for us. So in a implementation, we probably will need to add one more state for that single value. So let's call it tip, and we call it set tip, and the use state to be 0 by default. And whenever a tip is not going to change anyway, so we will I mean, when you have that total amount, actually it will not change at all, right? So set tip will be the difference between the value checked and the actual value. Sorry, the tip will be the difference between the amount and the total number after round up. And we can easily do that by firstly tip will be used in here. Yeah, we can change this string template to something like this, and then we do the tip. But for set tip or change the tip, it will be we will set the tip to the total minus amount after the after the is that right? No, it's actually always this number minus the amount, like after the roundup, and the initial roundup, the initial value amount will be the difference between these two value will be the tip. And we will always, whenever the amount changed, we will do that. Yeah, it's actually not need to, it doesn't need to be set here. But yeah, let's do that for now. If we run the test, oh, a lot of things are not passing. Let's have a look at what is happening. Right, so we got the that's the typical float number in JavaScript or in any other languages, which is super interesting. There is even a website for explaining this whole phenomena. But yeah, we will don't have worry about that. Let's using the fixed to get rid of that thing. So okay, for this strange float number here, we need to format it or like get rid of this floating strange floating. We can do that by in the possession, which is giving a number here. We want that to be 2, and then we will pass that as a float number here and to here, right? And if we run the test again, sorry, it's not that. This one, Control-Shift-R, and all these testing are all passing. So the values are exactly what we are expecting. It's pretty common to see what do you call that, cases like this, like it's initially you just fix it with some hard code, and then at some point you decided, okay, it's not appropriate anymore, so you change the implementation to the real logic, and after that you should normally get rid of the test or clean up the test as you normally would in product code. So in this case, these two cases from the test perspective, they are exactly the same, so we can get rid of either of them. I think this one maybe has a has more value, I would say, because it's the one. So I don't have strong opinion to keep either of them, but I feel this one is kind of has some difference in here. So in other tests, they're all expecting the 0.1 stuff. So I guess we don't need this anymore because it's all passing now. We are using the exactly the correct amount, and also yeah, as we are expecting here, which is totally fine. In the second test, if we look at the page now, it's something like, I would like to donate this amount of money to charity. If you check that, it's all both places are changing, which is great. And if you want to check even further in the app, we can say 19.8, and it will be 0.2, right? And we want to check if it's working. It's like a manually test, but I'm normally don't do this step unless I'm showing case to the business analytics or to product owners. Like I will show on the page what it looks like, but from the developer's perspective, the unit test is normally enough to cover all the cases. And now if you look at the test, it's passing and everything is working on the page, and there are some complaints on the terminal, and we should get rid of them as we go. I guess its problem is it's using unchange. Sorry, it's using the checked props but without the unchange event handler. Actually, I think we can probably just simply change this to unchange handle. Maybe modify this method to handle change, and run the test again. Yeah, it should pass all the tests without a problem. Yeah, it's interesting that in React test library, in the fair event, it's using the click, which is actually, I think it makes sense. Like a user on the screen, they are actually click the element. Even it might sound like changing, but for the user's perspective, I think it make more sense to click it. Even like internally, we will do that change and handle change. So we have this fancy component already, which is obviously not that fancy, but it's working, and you can see that. Thank you for donation stuff, and the amount is changing correspondingly. And now let's have a look at how can we improve, or if we can improve the quality, the code quality. So talking about the refactoring, I think the most big problem people are facing is they always try to fix all the issues at once, or like thinking very big refactoring or restructures. But the key here is you should try very small steps. If you have read the refactoring book from Martin Fowler, you will find it's that all the techniques discussed in the book is very, very tiny actually. For example, there is a refactoring named extractor variable. Like you just simply extract a variable out of an expression, simple as that. But it will build up, these small steps will build up, and eventually we'll have very much more decent code. We can start from there. Let's say this one, master floor amount plus 1. What it does is calculating the total number, right? We can extract a variable here, yeah, by Command Shift V, I think, and we can call it total, maybe like that. So basically, yeah, it's just a very simple step. And in here, because it's just a checked, if it's checked, it's total, otherwise it's amount. We can simply, I'm not sure if there is yeah, we can simply say set total to be checked. If it checked, it's total, otherwise it's amount. So then we don't have to use this long string or like expression. Then it's kind of simplified a little bit. Also, I think this one, the total and amount can be calculated. The tip can be calculated by the total and amount. Well, the total itself is from the amount. So we can, for example, extract this one as a separate function. So to do that, you can say command option M, which is the method. You can say you can use command option M to extract a method. It will have a pop-up here asking where do you want to place that new function. So we want it to be like a universal or in a global space. So we say global, please, and what it's actually doing is calculate tip, or yeah, that could be a good name. And what it does is just extracting a single function here. But then we found that the total is nothing but it can be calculated from the amount. So if we don't have to pass in the amount here, we don't have to pass in the total number here because it can be calculated from the amount. So let's say we want to put it back. There's a shortcut called inline function, which is basically replacing this function body into the calling place. So it's command option N. It's asking if you want to inline it. Yes, we want. Now it's just like a reversed back, and here we don't want this to be a variable at this stage. We want it to be inlined. So again, it's command option N. We want to inline it, and at this point we can then extract this function again to a method called calculate tip. Now if we look at the tip, it's nothing but doing this kind of fancy thing here by just using the amount passed in. So you can manipulate this kind of thing over and over, or we can extract this again into a method called, for example, the mass.floor amount plus 1 can be in its own function. Command option M to extract a function. We call it get or calculate roundup. You give it amount, it will give you a mass or floor, and you can move it around like that. And also we found that we can actually replacing this part with the calculate roundup by passing the amount. And by doing that, it's like a cleaned up a little bit. And if you run the test again, actually we should run the test in each small steps, like extracting a function, you run a test, extracting a variable, you run a test, to making sure everything is perfectly in every step. So now we have this, and also if you take a deep look at the variables, even like the checked, it's kind of interesting, right? It's checked is more a technique or internal term we use to identify if it's the checkbox is checked, but it doesn't have the enough business meaning So we actually want to see here is agree to donate, let's say. So we can rename that in Webstone easily as well. We should say agree and donate. Even it's like longer. And yeah, we will go with that. So agree and or agree to, sorry, it's maybe agree to donate. And in a test or even in the code is read more natural here. Yeah, when you agree to donate, you will have these. Otherwise, you have this. We can actually extract this as a method, I would say. Command Option M. We want to see format message maybe. So it's accepting a number as the actual donate number, and a boolean says if you agree this, I will return this, otherwise it will be that. And in the coding place, it will be much easier. It's just a formatting message or formatting the user message like that. So yeah, I always prefer to make it more as clean as possible in a component. And the best thing of this is you can test that separately as well. So like if you pass in true, you will see something. You pass in false, you will see something else. Yeah, it's pure function, so it's very easy to test. But if you want to test that in the payment component, there will be like a lot of other preparations, like you need amount to do that, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to test the format message with the amount, because it has nothing to do with the amount. And also I would normally pull this out into a hook. If we could have a hook, let's say use roundup. I'm just write some I would just write some pseudocode here. Let's see, what I want is a total and a tip from a roundup. Yeah, I'm just writing some pseudocode here. Let's imagine what the interface will be for that hook. We can have a hook that you need this initial value here, and it will listen to agree to donate. Whenever it changed, it will reflect on the total and the tip, and the tip will be used here, total will be used here, things like that. And after the change, the only thing left in the payment section or payment will be only the checkbox stuff. So yeah, let's actually try to do that. I'll see we can start from const use roundup here, and yeah, amount will be a number, and agree to donate will be a boolean. What it does is nothing but exactly copy the whole thing over except this one, and then you return the total and the tip, right? So not here. I'm just copy over the implementation to the new place, but I'm not using them yet. So if you run the test now, they all should pass because it's still the old behavior. It's unless until I at the very late stage here to actually use the change amount, grain, and const total and tip to be this one. Once I have them, I can get rid of the use effect stuff. And if I go back to the test and run again, it should still passing. Also, I think I might need to change this checked as well to something like agreeing to donate, even a simple change. And yeah, you can actually inline this if you like, but I think it will be too much for a event handler, so I will put it more explicitly here. And for the help functions above here, we can rearrange the statement. Oh, by the way, slide method or slide variable is another refactoring technique. Like if you want to slide this up, that's a refactoring. Anyway, we will move this one to a new place. Is that F6? We will call it use roundup, and we want the calculate roundup, and use roundup, all three of them to be in the new place. And yeah, so in the hook it will export this use roundup. In the payment, this is our new payment. It has a format message with doing this simple formatting, and the payment itself is relatively simple. It's just a input box, a paragraph, and probably we don't need this paragraph to make it more easy to styling, and the button. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the final result, I would say, at the moment. Yeah, in the following videos we will have some more fancy refactorings, but yeah, let's talk about that at that time. That's all I have for today's video. And yeah, in it we have implemented the simple payment workflow, the donation workflow. Like you can, as a user, click the checkbox to say I'd like to donate to a charity, and then we have this roundup logic. We have all the tests from scratch. We build up this new section. With some additional styling, it will be ready to go to be used in product. If you haven't yet, please consider to subscribe and like and share the video to your friends, or whoever want to learn TDD or React clean code in general. I will see you next time with more complicated logic added to the payment section. And yeah, see you soon.